Welcome to the Bend Don't Break podcast. I am Aaron Switzer, your host, along with intrepid reporter Laurel Bronze. This podcast is powered by The Source Weekly, everyone's favorite newspaper. This podcast is supported by Worthy Brewing, putting education first, utilizing green technologies, and experimenting daily to brew the best damn beer in the Pacific Northwest while treading as lightly on the earth as possible. Living out our mantra, earth first, beer second. And we have my favorite Worthy brew here, Hazy IPA. Be having that later. Right now, our guest is Patti Adair, Deschutes County Commissioner. She is a fourth generation Oregon native, grew up on a ranch an hour east of Pendleton. She has a history BA from the U of O, a certified public accountant, Washington State. Her grandparents' Ukiah Sawmill, you may have seen down at the High Desert Museum. It was moved there in the 90s and continues to be an attraction today. She recently, when she ran for office on affordable housing and removing barriers to development and state land use laws. Patti, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, no, thank you. I guess I could say it's my pleasure to come up the stairs and actually, yes, get back into my office.
Right.
I'm very much at home in my office.
So, Patti, as we get started, tell me a little bit about your great-grandparents, your fourth generation. What did they do? How did they get here?
Well, my great-great-grandfather came from Prussia, and he actually sailed around the Cape, came up and ended up in Portland. I think he took like a train or something over to Ukiah and settled there. Originally, he was a sheep rancher, and then he eventually went into cows. But so that's where the sawmill comes from, the Ukiah Ranch that my mother grew up at as a child. And, you know, it was really amazing. I remember going fishing with my grandfather. I mean, I couldn't figure out why I love fishing. Well, it was because when I was really young, I'd get to go fishing with my grandfather, and they had a couple of creeks on the ranch. And I caught a lot of fish with him, and I've never caught another fish. I even had fishing poles, and I'd go fishing on Little Butter Creek where we lived, and I'd come back to the house. I go, Mom, I can't understand why I want to go do this, but I did not get his talent. It was definitely, grandfather was the important trick to my fishing ability. And then actually my other grandfather on my other side, this is what is so amazing. When I was running in September, my first cousin gave me an advertisement from Pop Pop's race. He was a county commissioner in Umatilla County. I thought he was a county extension agent, and it ended up he was a commissioner there 2 years. It was like before I was born. He was 2 terms there, and then he actually went to Portland and was the director of the Pacific International, you know, that livestock show. Wow. So, and I didn't know he was a county commissioner. So when people asked me why I was doing this, you know, genetically, it was definitely in my genes.
You were predisposed. It was in your blood.
Yes, I know. It was just kind of really nice. And I have a picture of him on my wall, and it kind of reminds me of, you know, my history with Oregon and how much I love my state. Did
you ever do any logging with them? I mean, not logging, but like using the sawmill, getting in there, running boards?
Well, I remember the sawmill there, but I was really like, I had a big bowl of toads and frogs. I don't know. Anyway, I remember having all those animals when I get to go stay with my grandparents in the summer. My mom actually told me the stories that they had. It looked kind of like Ponderosa, you know, the TV show. They'd have the Ponderosa pines, Bonanza, you know, where the field, right, you know, with the big trees. And at one point when they were harvesting some of the older trees, they had a couple trees that took an entire logging truck just with one tree. Wow. That they, they were getting old and they needed to take them down. Sure. Those are like family important stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never did really any logging. No, that was not me. I was riding a horse.
I did notice, speaking of riding a horse, that the rodeo queen has fallen off of your resume. Is that?
Oh, I thought it was important. Actually, when I was the queen of the Pendleton Roundup, I got to meet the first Prime Minister Trudeau.
Wow.
The court went to Calgary, and my court director said, "Oh, come on, I think you'd like to meet this man." And I did. I met Justin Trudeau's father. So this was,
okay.
I think it was in 1971. So yeah, I know it fell off, but that's why, the rodeo, what happens at our county fairgrounds, losing the Sisters Rodeo this year. You can't see on my other wall in my office I have 4 Sisters Rodeo posters, and it's part of my family. My brother-in-law has been for quite a few years, was an announcer for the National Finals Rodeo. He grew up in Redmond, in fact, Terrebonne, and our current, the rodeo director for the Deschutes County Fair, Gladys Sappington, rides one of Butch's saddles. So it's an amazing small world when you dig down.
Well, now you're the commissioner over the Deschutes County Fair and their rodeo. Are you helping them out at all?
We had to actually cancel this year's rodeo fair, the end of July, the 1st of August. And, from the sounds of the press conference this morning, it doesn't sound like that would have really changed, because they're talking about doing phase 2 into the fall. And what I'm hoping is maybe we can come up with something in like September, some kind of a rodeo for, a lot of our community. That's what they do. And if we can come up with something September, October, that would be, in my opinion, really something worthwhile. And we've talked to Gladys about it. And the other important thing that really we need to do is the FFA and the 4-H kids. Last year's proceeds grossed $1.5 million for those hardworking kids that have learned personal responsibility. And I know they're working on a Zoom somehow how to support the kids and their animals this year. So I'm really, whatever it takes to make that. I know it's going to be hard to, match last year, but at least make it so the kids have something. I mean, that's how I put myself through college, was my 4-H money. I was a 4-H'er for 10 years.
Right. So, Patti, when you got elected in September, I mean, I think it's pretty safe.
Oh, November.
Oh, November. Right. You're running in September.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yes, running in September.
Getting it in November. It's safe to say you couldn't have foreseen having the virus hit and the importance that county politics have hit. I mean, you are probably the most popular and powerful person, being the opener of the county.
Well, no, I just wanted that message to get to the community, because when I drove the plan over, it was really, we were emailing it, but I just see what's happened to our county. The fact that we have we're the 3rd highest unemployment in the state.
Sure.
And I know we've got to work back, and you can't run a restaurant at 30%. You're just losing more money. And so I'm personally really thrilled that our numbers are meeting the target of what the state set up, so that we can actually expand those. It's critical. We have such a tourist industry, and yet we are diversified here. I was happy to see that Epic hired back 150 of their 300 employees. I met one of them in line at Safeway in Redmond, probably a couple, like 4 weeks ago, I think. And he said he didn't have a problem. He got his unemployment right away and everything. But, they let off 300 people just like that. So, I guess I wouldn't say, I just really take my job very seriously.
Yeah.
I've always taken responsibility. I was raised that way. My sisters were all extremely hardworking and responsible, and my parents really showed us that ethic growing up. So it doesn't leave you. But I just want you guys to know that I actually got the key to the county. Have you seen this?
I have not.
I'm supposed to be one of the 100,000 Oregonians, our household, that gets tested for COVID. And
great.
I know. I'm like, oh, of course I did. I'm an AD. Anyway, I got this card in the mail, and I'm, how you stand over your trash can and you're putting your mail in. And I looked at this and I went, oh no, it's a picture. This is Smith Rock. So I'm thinking like, okay. And it's also in Spanish, which I can barely speak, but I can speak some Spanish. Anyway, so I'm going, oh my gosh. Then I got my letter the other day on how I need to sign up for this. So have you actually met anyone that's gotten this?
Our editor didn't get You Are the Key, but she did do the test.
She did, but she didn't get this from the governor actually to be on there.
No,
Okay,
no.
yeah, I thought that was very,
Yeah.
and I was just really happy that, oh my gosh, I actually like read it, and I've been saving it and trying to find some other people. And honestly, I've only met one other couple that got this in the mail. But they should be asking 7,500 people from Deschutes County, because the governor said they were asking 150,000 Oregonians with the goal of getting 100,000 to participate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, you've now been elevated as to this, the opener is what I'm calling it. You've got the key to the county.
Yes,
Everybody's looking at you. How's that weight on your shoulder these days? I mean, how have you been spending your last couple months?
working really hard.
Yeah.
You know, what is it, 6 days, 7 days a week, something like that. But that's okay, because last year when I was first elected, my responsibility was to go to county college, which was either in Salem, Corvallis, and we would go to Salem for like Sunday night for meetings all day, Monday legislative, and then I would come back home, and then I'd have to go back to Salem or Eugene,
Right.
somewhere, for more training. And I don't know if you remember, but there's a lot of snow like February and March over the past. And I was in it a lot. So I feel like at least this is my second year. Last year, I really did pray that we wouldn't have forest fires. We were able to, we tripled the days at the transfer stations for free for people this year for tonnage. That just ended last week, the 24th. But those are the kind of things that I really worked on getting implemented in Deschutes County. So, we're looking at, the precarious position of, are we going to have a fire season? We know, we all know it's extremely dry. We're supposed to actually declare a drought emergency. And I'm just thrilled that the tonnage doubled. People really took responsibility and cleaned up around their property. And that's what, if you haven't done that, you need to do that.
Well, I think people are obsessive right now about their lawns. I mean, you see the
Oh,
spikes in nurseries and tree plantings. I mean, it's all you can do. It's pets and pets and plants right now.
I know. Well, personally, I think, I have lots of pets at my house, and I do believe that, that's what keeps you balanced. In the morning, I go out to my barn at like 6 or something like that. And, I do some cleanup. I check my horses, I water, I feed. And that's the way I start my day. And it really helps, breathing fresh air, and then, getting into town or wherever we need to go. It's been to the office a lot lately. And we actually have a region for our county commissioners that's next week. And I said, guys, we could actually get together and have lunch. I mean, we could actually see each
Right.
other. And, at some point in time, you can really gain a lot more from that experience.
Yeah,
So,
I think a lot of people forget that 6 feet means 6 feet, and we've moved into a different phase. It's interesting to me to watch people as we come out of these phases and certain things are implemented. Some people are still back in a world where they're hunkered down and they don't see anybody, they stay homes. And I've tried to encourage my staff to come in at least a couple days a week to try to meet people again, get used to real face to face.
no, I honestly, I think it's really important. And I see the difference in people. We actually have, what is it, 5 million Americans now on antidepressants
Mm-hmm.
pills. It's the most we've ever had and that's really frightening. Depression is a serious epidemic. The good news was yesterday when I had my county commissioner meeting, Dr. Conway did point out that the suicide numbers were really actually okay for Oregon, but normally Oregon is more at the top of suicide. So I worry about people, and that's why I know if we can get more people back to work, that will help balance it out.
Was the doctor saying that he hadn't seen an increase in
No, they
suicides?
haven't. They've been watching it really
Yeah.
closely, but we have not seen an increase in Deschutes County and or the state at this point in time. So, and they are really watching it, because I don't know if you saw the reports, but California was having oh my gosh, horrible,
Sure.
horrible epidemics. So yes.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think, at least in our editorial meetings, we talk about quite a lot is the unintended consequences that we'll see later in terms of mental health and, what's going to be available for mental health services. Are you feeling pretty good about the way the county's been handling their budget and what you see for the future?
Well, the really good news is, I believe it was the end of April, the 28th of April, the federal government renewed the certified community behavioral health clinics, and we're getting another $4 million for that program. It's a program that started in 2017, and Oregon was one of 8 states.
Wow.
And there was all kinds of questions with the federal government going to renew this. And last August, I was really worried about it because I am on the behavioral health committee for our county. And I drove back from Seneca, 2 sisters, cleaned my barn, got a shower, and drove over to Salem. And the next morning at 8, met with Pat Allen at OHA, saying,
Yeah.
Pat, and it's great because he had recognized me. I'd met him earlier in the Capitol, but I go like, Pat, this is so important. Originally, Oregon had to have a match, like a 25% match. And it was like, you just really weren't sure that was going to happen. And
Right.
I just knew we're one of 8 states. We really need this. And, and the federal government actually came through for it. So I'm happy about that. And then we actually just applied for another grant that I'd worked on. It's through the Justice program, but they were offering $10 million for funding. And with the DA's office, with Brandy, and with Holly, who's working the Stabilization Center, they are applying for a couple $1 million to help with our Stabilization Center. And that could be so critical here in Bend, but it's actually going to help, maybe problems in Madras, Crook County. The Central Oregon Health Council donated $500,000 for the project, and it's so important. And I'm really happy that that it just had a soft opening this week on Monday.
Great.
So they're making appointments. The teams are working out of there, and Bend PD, the sheriff has been a tremendous supporter. It's really it's great.
Well, Patty, let me open the floor up to Laurel to ask a question. I know I've been hogging all the time as usual, Laurel.
Hogging, don't use that word, hogging. Little piggies. Those are like the hot item at the 4-H fair, you know that.
I do, yeah. I actually was part of a group that bid on, what was it called? Piggy Smalls.
Oh. We actually had a pet pig once growing up, and we were so mad at our dad, 6 girls, and he gets this pig. He actually was like a dog. We'd go ride our horses, and he would go with us like a dog. It was, right. We loved him. Yeah, they're wonderful pets.
So I won't hog anything, but Laurel,
okay, don't hog anything.
You go ahead.
Oh, Patty, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about what the council or what the commissioners have been talking about in regards to churches. I know there's this situation's gotten really politicized, and at least the last thing I read, some of the county commissioners felt strongly about declaring churches essential businesses. What is?
We didn't do that, and we won't be doing that. The governor's ruling today. Did you see the press conference?
Not all of it.
She actually changed the parameters. She added churches to restaurants, and if you you need to allocate 35 square feet per person, I believe. It was either that or you could have 250, whichever the lesser. But for churches like St. Francis, which has a capacity of 980, that will mean, I'm not sure what their square footage is, but at least that means that more than 50 people will legally, per the governor's phase 2, will be able to attend services there. So, they were having church every day, but when they have, 1,000 or more parishioners and families, at least this means that if it's a choice, it's a choice whether you go to the service or not. But the governor did, she actually added it to her parameters today.
Thanks.
That's good. So
Well,
some of the people will be able to come in person now if they
yeah,
feel
I mean,
comfortable and safe.
choice. I mean, some people don't want to, and I
Sure.
completely understand that. But then again, for those that do, thank goodness it is a choice now. So I'm I just feel like, well, she definitely made it a choice.
Patti, when one of the things that I saw that recently the sheriff's office had a pretty big illegal marijuana bust, and I know that was something that you were really concerned about in your campaign out in the county. Did you guys have much to do with that? Were you in coordination at all with those guys?
We never know till after it's done.
Oh, really?
Then we get the message. Yeah, they actually did 3 busts that day because we have, it's like 40 legal grows in the county.
Right.
And so these are grows that aren't, they're not medical and they're not legal and they're black market. And, they're going down 97 to wherever. And no, the county, the sheriff's office has 2 people that serve on code for that. And, they're just trying, there were neighbors and that, like there was one in La Pine, the neighbors had, been really concerned about it. There were children in the neighborhood. They were dealing with a lot. So it was, we just hear about it after it's done. I believe last year we had a report from the code enforcement and they had, I think they procured like 16 million in illegal things. Yeah, it was incredible. And that was all, it's all black market.
Yeah, I was very surprised at the size of those busts. Those were a large grow operations. I can't imagine what those people are thinking, that you're going to just mistake them for a legal grow. I mean, they're pretty noticeable. I think it's not something you're going to get away with.
The sheriff actually explained to us that the legal grows are really happy that we're enforcing the law because they're the ones that are following the rules.
Sure.
And they're doing everything right and they're being inspected. And so that's, I think that's the good news.
Yeah, I mean, they're dumping a bunch of low-cost marijuana into the market and really hurting those legal grow businesses.
Right, the ones that are following the rules.
Right. Patti, we are kind of at the end of our time with the podcast. You've been great. Is there anything that you want to speak to that we have not asked or talked about? I mean, it's a pretty short segment, but
I know, isn't it amazing how fast it goes? I mean, honestly, no, thank you for the opportunity. And, just if you are still having problems with your unemployment, please call me or call the county office. They're trained now on what we do and how we really we help people. It's just, there are too many people that haven't been helped with their unemployment benefits. It's gone on too many weeks. And if you can be helped, we would love to do that. So no, thank you for asking me, Laurel. I never dreamed that today would be the way it is. When we set this up a couple weeks ago, I thought, well, maybe things will be have settled down, but no, really they haven't, but that's okay. If we can go into phase 2, that's wonderful for our business community. So I just, the business community, get back into work and hire those people back.
Yeah. Patti, I really appreciate all the work you've put into getting the county open, and I liked your commitment to driving it all the way to Salem. That was a great talking point. It was good.
Well, it was, I just wanted everybody to know that it means the world to me that, we need to get back to work, safely, but please get back to work.
Well, as a business owner, I appreciated it. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Laurel.
All right. Thanks, Patti.
Bye-bye.
Bye.